and welcome to the Scene Weekly podcast, where we harken back to our college debate days and pick two movies of the same theme to get you all depressed with familial breakups and possibly make me think that the grass is greener on the other side and take to a younger lady. This week's episode is focused on divorce. Oh, what fun! With dinner with friends matching up against the squid and the whale. Come join Jonathan and Stephen for another week of hopefully less plot chatter and copious more film banter. We are Scene Weekly, and welcome to our misery. Hello,
Misery
Stephen.
is right. How did we end up on this topic of divorce?
Well, you are a happy-go-lucky person and decided that this would be a lovely topic to discuss for an hour at least. I myself have, have been through this in real life, so I mean, pretty much any movie I watch that relates to divorce, I'm like, this is just too close. Even this is 1989 for me, so this was a long time ago, and
Yeah, how old were you when your parents split up?
it's it seems like from the very beginning it was happening. But I was 8, technically. I think maybe 7. Yeah, it was no fun. It was no fun. So
Yeah.
the environment for which it begins, it's no fun to go back to. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, this is a touchy subject. I don't know how much for you, but I mean, 8 years old is a young age, and in some families, some parents like I've seen it before where they wait until the kids are grown and out of the house before they do it.
That
And
helps immensely with the
yeah,
upbringing of a child. And from a sociological perspective, I know this pretty well, in the sense that even if you have two separate bedrooms for the parents, this is actually maybe dated evidence, or to be honest, maybe I'm talking out of my ass here. But with that said, if you have two different bedrooms and you're still collectively under the same household, it's better for the child or children, for that matter. And so, in doing that, in your example, it would be actually probably more beneficial to raise your kids in that capacity. But yeah, my family didn't do that. They just decided. I shouldn't say they. It was effectively my dad being an absolute warmonger to the family in all capacities, and so a lot of the lines and the actions of my family I could see in these movies as well. I'm sure they're repeatable from a divorce perspective, but it's not fun. But Blue Valentine, for example, I hate that movie. I watched it once and only once, and I was like, everyone's like, this is the greatest. You should watch it. And I watched it like, ugh.
no good.
Yeah, but I can see why people would like it, but I don't know. So I might be a little melancholy today. It might be a little sad. Got still feelings. It appears from the and hurt resentment.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I was lucky, like you said, happy-go-lucky, in the sense that my parents are still together. But my dad did have a marriage previously to my mom, so I have two sisters my dad's previous marriage. So I knew of the concept of that as a young age, but I'd never had the ramifications of it growing up.
Stephen, that's wild. First of all, I mean, I did know that about you, but I was I don't remember how old I was. I was a grown ass adult, and both of my parents were married and divorced before they met each other, and I didn't know until I was 20 something.
What?
And my,
That's
and my sister knew the whole time.
wow.
Yeah. And so I found this out probably when I was like, I don't know, 23, 24. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? What is happening with what? And then I was like, Jen, did you know this? Oh, yeah. And I was like, how? What? You were just too young. I was like, what about like the last 10 years? You could have told me.
Exactly.
Like, what? How is this possible? How did this not come up?
Yeah.
I literally go back. I go back to it every so often and think, if this ever happened to me, I would never treat it like this. I don't know. I don't even know if my brother knows, for that matter.
Oh, that's wild.
Anyway,
The secrets that your parents have in previous lives that you just don't know about. Like you don't know all of their things that happened.
Some
And
of it
you're
is good to keep to themselves.
yeah, that's true. That's
Like,
true.
would you really want to see pictures of your mom like snorting coke in a strip club or something? You know, in Colombia.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Before I met your father, whoo! I used to do some crazy things, Steven.
I just think kids nowadays they're going to be growing up and they're going to be like looking back on their parents like Instagram and scrolling all the way down and trying to find something. It's just going to be weird.
Oh,
Like, are you
yeah.
as a parent, are you going to like block your kid or delete certain photos that you just don't want to be known from your 20s and teens and whatnot?
Which raises a very good question that I had actually for a comment on you later. The comment will come back later in a different capacity now that I think about it. But you, of all people, are able to put yourself out there and just keep it out there. For example, with ex girlfriends, like you have Instagram pictures of your exes, and
Yeah,
it's just there.
got to see those notches on the bedpost, man.
What's your body count? Well, let's check this out. That's one. So it's funny because you don't even like consider that to be an issue, and I pointed it out to you. You're like, yeah, what? That's no big deal. But most
I didn't
people,
even I didn't even consider it like it never crossed my mind of like, oh, I need to go back and delete this photo that I had with this when I was in this relationship and blah 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 blah. Like, who the fuck cares?
I think a lot of people do. Yeah, I think a lot of people. I would actually say the majority of people do. Yeah.
So let's back this up and think about like before Instagram and people just had like photo collages and books at the house and things like that. Do you just chuck all of those away, throw away your memories?
Yeah,
They're
but
done.
those are easier to conceal.
Ah, conceal.
You can have a
Okay.
special box for those.
Ooh, we need to make an app called Special Box.
That could go over well with the XXX community as well. Get some
that's,
special hits.
that's true.
By the way, is your microphone on your Shure mic? You should probably check it.
Yeah, it's on my Shure mic. Why do I sound off?
You just sound like you echo. Do you have any? How's your new place, by the way? Welcome to LA.
Yeah, I'm still in the Airbnb. I move into my new place tomorrow in Hollywood.
Nice.
Going to be schmoozing with all the stars. You know what I mean?
I don't.
I've already had a few of a couple of my celebrity sightings out here in LA in my
Who did you
first
see?
week. So first off, I saw Kevin O'Conley. He's the guy from Entourage.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him twice now at two different places. Um,
So he must live like in your building or near you.
yeah, probably like in this area around Sunset Boulevard. And then the big one was I went to Quentin Tarantino's Rep House Theater that he renovated called the Vista Theater, and they have a little coffee shop called Pam's Coffee,
Yeah.
which is in lieu of Pam Grier. Um, Order my coffee, right? There's not too many people in there. It's a small shop. And I turn around and look for a seat, and there's a guy sitting in there with a big tie-dye shirt and a big bushy beard. And I'm like, holy shit, that's Jack Black. Like, okay. I sit down and I'm drinking my coffee. I'm texting you, actually. I'm like, I got Jack Black from the coffee shop. Um, and then he gets up and leaves, and I don't think too much of it. And then I go into order concessions, and he's in there ordering concessions as well, just chatting it up with the concession girl, talking about I think chocolate M&Ms, or he wanted dark chocolate. I don't know. Anyways, I go into the theater. There's
What did you get?
literally,
Don't overlook the fact of what you got. What did you get?
I mean, I got my usual. I got small popcorn, RC cola, because they actually serve RC cola. I usually don't get that, but when it's offered, I get the RC. And I get peanut M&Ms. I mix the peanut M&Ms in the bag of hot popcorn. It
I
kind of
know.
gets melty. Yeah, it's great. But yeah, I go to the theater. I scan the theater. There's literally two people plus me, so three, and the whole theater. And I see where Jack Black's sitting. I was like, okay, I don't want to get too close, but I want to get a good seat.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I sit like 3 rows behind him, and I'm just kind of eating my popcorn, waiting for the movie to start. And then he gets up, he kind of scans the room, And I try not to make eye contact with him
Yeah,
mind you. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
but he's like scanning the room, and I look up, and he's like, "Hey, I think you made the better choice in the row. I'm a little too close." And I'm like, "Well, you can join me if you want." And this is no, there's nobody there.
Did you
Uh,
acknowledge him as Jack or Mr. Black?
Tenacious Jack.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I mean, he was really cool. He's like, I'm gonna check these seats out. But then he points to the guy that's like in the corner row.
Yeah.
He's like, bad choice. I'm like, yeah, that's a bad choice. But yeah, I was hoping to speak with him after the movie. I went to go see Saturday Night, which is a great film. But yeah, he left a little early, so I couldn't
Mm.
grab his ear to be on the podcast. But I'm sure I'll see him again. This is a
Yeah,
small
I mean,
town.
your 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 success at meeting individuals in the silver screen after a week is pretty good. That's pretty high.
Yeah. I just think what I think I need to do is make some scene weekly business cards
Yeah.
and just have those on hand, just kind of pass them out to the A list celebrity, even B list. I'll go B list here.
Z,
Z. We'll go Z.
make
Doesn't
a
matter.
make a QR code on the back that immediately takes all of their crypto and sends it to us. Also do
Oh,
that. Yeah, yeah.
okay. If you can help me with that, I would greatly appreciate it.
I don't know. Fuck if I know. I don't know. Anyway, what are we talking about here? Divorce.
Separation.
Is it separation? Is it divorce? When does divorce start, Stephen? When do you think? When your children are feeling it? Is that when divorce starts, or is this just a legal term that
It usually starts around the construction of IKEA furniture, um, but that's like the little ignition
have
in the
you
whole
ever
process.
have you ever constructed anything from IKEA? Like anything?
Oh yeah, a lot, all the time.
I should say more specifically then, have you done a dresser? Any of their dressers? I've done
Yes, I have. I have. Yeah.
my sweet baby Jesus. Some of their stuff is like really easy. Like their bookshelves, piece of cake. Those dressers though are I mean, I remember like 2 a.m. wasted out of my mind trying to create a dresser from IKEA. And I'm not one to give up easily and just I'm like, this is tomorrow's task. I can't do
Yeah.
that. I'm
What what
tapping out.
what's wild to me is there's this like subsidiary of services now that you can hire people to come and install the IKEA furniture, and that you're paying basically a full price of like what you would buy at a nicer store that's
Yeah.
already put together. Uh, it's wild to me. I don't get it.
So divorce. I'm good just talking about our movies for 1 minute and then cutting it out and having a 15-minute diatribe of us talking about IKEA furniture and Jack Black. But I guess we do have to talk about these movies. We don't have too much time left. Dinner with Friends. I didn't actually watch Dinner with Friends until very recently, and as somebody who is, I consider myself a writer, even though like I would say I'm a part time writer.
You're very Kafka-esque, right?
Part time. I don't know what to call myself. I have a published novel that you are a character in, actually, called Shoulder to the Wheel. I wrote a second book called Table for Four, Please, which I'm trying to find a publisher for, which not trying too hard. Really haven't done anything with it, but it's done, I would say 90%. But with that said, I had no idea of Dinner with Friends when I wrote my book, Table for Four, which surrounds four individuals, two married couples, and just the kind of the relations between dinner and the communication that we have with each other, and which is hilarious because Dinner with Friends is effectively pretty much identical, but it's not. Divorce is of or separation is of the focal point. It's not in mine. I mean, there's like in my book. There's cancer, getting over Alzheimer's, parents dying, and just normal everyday life of
Just the fun topics of the day.
yeah, yeah, not just divorce. I don't think anyone's getting divorced in the book, but like it. I was like, man, I'm such a fraud. Like when I watched it like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, I love this, but like this is identical to my book. Or like we share the same stories. It has deals with dinner, it deals with emotional things in the couple, but or two couples. But anyway, close to home. But the Squid and the Whale. I'll actually go first. The Squid and the
Okay.
Whale I watched, I believe, when it came out in 2005. So it's 81 minutes, Noah Baumbach, I think is how you pronounce his name. 2005, rated R, comedy drama, 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. Million and a half budget with an 11 at the box office. That million and a half budget was originally supposed to be 7. Um, but before I get into the synopsis, afterwards actually, tap tap taparoo. So, a pair of brothers living in Brooklyn are caught in the middle of and deeply affected by the divorce of their erudite parents, Bernard and Joan Berkman. Older sibling Walt sides with his dad and acts out at school, while the younger brother Frank quietly backs up the mom. The household tension rises further when Joan's writing career takes off and surpasses the failed ambitions of her professor ex husband. Which, you know, if I were to read this synopsis, I'd be like, I don't want to watch it, probably because of my own background and hurt from divorce. But the characters are, and I mean the actors, what a lineup! I mean, terrific lineup.
It's great. Yeah, I mean, I will venture to guess that I this was my first time watch. I feel like I might have seen it years and years
You
ago,
have,
but I had no recollection of it.
I know you have, because
Okay.
I have the physical DVD. I don't know why I have to say physical; it's just a DVD. But I own the actual copy of it. I'm fairly certain in 2005 I bought it, or 2006, and I shared it with you. But I could be wrong. I know I had it in like one of those cases that would house CDs slash DVDs. Do you still have any of those, by the way?
The ones that you ripped off the internet?
Yeah. No, I actually bought this.
Oh, you bought this one.
I
Okay. All
bought
right.
this one.
This is a rarity then.
Hey, LimeWire, don't talk about those types of things. Anyway, I want to say as background, I mean, the director Noah, he actually wrote this from a very personal perspective. He's the writer director, so this is loosely based on his life, and then felt he should kind of open it up and added stories from people around him, and stories that he's actually heard. But a lot of it is based, Park Slope, for example, where this is set. It's his where he grew up, kind of shared a lot of the stories, and ultimately wanted Wes Anderson to direct the movie itself. And Wes is like, "Nah, bruh, this is too personal.
You got to do it.
There's only one person that could do this, so it's you." And he's like, "Oh man," and then decided to. But yeah, it feels in a lot of ways, I don't know, maybe because it's happened to me, just feels real. Like just the tennis scenes, the introduction of new, not spouses, but boyfriends and girlfriends and things of that nature, just feels real. Like
Yeah.
somebody's been through this before, and this is an actual story. And isn't that
Because
always?
there's like a lot of specific things.
But isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I love to hear stories as well when you get tricked, when you're like, this has to be like of a real life story. And then you're like, no, I just made it up completely out of my head. And those are the moments I'm like, that's imaginative. But this is a real life story. It feels real. It felt real to me. I, for the second time or third time watching it, I don't know. This doesn't make me too happy. But do you know, have
Yeah.
you had any parents or close people to you that actually you saw kind of directly go through divorce and the process that it took?
Not not specifically, no. I mean, you always know those kids at school that they talk about like, oh yeah, I got to go to my dad's house this time, or I got to spend Christmas with my mom.
Yeah.
But I never had those like inclinations of like, tell me how what that's like. How are you feeling about that? Because like as a third grader, you don't like, okay, you get 2 Christmases, great, that's awesome,
Yeah,
man.
that's a good point.
You
That's a
know,
good point. One in which, yeah, I didn't particularly like the idea. Like after, I mean, this is very telling. After or while my parents were getting divorced, a lot of bad things were said, which as an 8-year-old I probably shouldn't be listening to. But it was 2 Christmases for a couple years, I would say, and then immediately like old daddy went away for a lifetime. Didn't want to
to
have
prison.
to any no, didn't want to
Oh,
have
okay.
anything to do with us for a 10-year period. And then, not to get into more details, but it's rough. It's interesting because of things that it made such a significance to my life, that it made me change how I not only perceive things or want to perceive things, but how I actually raised my own daughter, and like the significance of small actions or things that you think are small
Right.
when you're an adult make a fucking monumental impact on kids. Because I mean, you're living for 5 years. That one impact is hugely significant potentially, but especially your parents, just like separating who were your idols potentially. And I guess I'm speaking from my own personal effects, but like once that's ripped away, like you're at least my livelihood and my world kind of just crumbled. And I was pretty open, fairly gregarious, but kind of shy. And then ultimately, I just like crawled into myself after it happened for, man, God, at least 8 or 9 years. I didn't come out for nothing.
Oh
It took a really
wow.
long time, and then it took like another five for me to be, I guess, who I am today. But like, it's interesting. Some people I probably deal with divorce like, dad's a cunt, mom's a whatever, bitch. I don't know, but like, yeah, I think there's some evidence to suggest
Well, I mean,
it's impactful.
from what I've seen in stories and film and things like that, I don't know if this is like a personal reflection of what you felt, but a lot of kids, because they don't understand the dynamics of parenting and adult emotion and things like that, but a lot of kids sort of take the blame on the parents splitting as as their fault. And did you ever feel
No,
that kind of guilt?
no, none of us did because everyone knew it was my father's fault.
Okay.
It was very well known. Like, I mean, the fact that my sister was calling my dad a male whore when I was like, 8, I was like, what's a whore? What's a male whore? I don't know what that is. Seems interesting. Let me get involved. I wasn't too involved. I really got closed off. We all took it in different ways. My sister's 4.5 years older, who's always been like the very mature child, like telling little kids not to smoke and stuff. But my brother went haywire. But nonetheless, I have in Florida, man, everyone just gets divorced. So I knew a lot of couples and a lot of people's parents that did get divorced. So I had a lot of that around me. Once you got one, you got like 50. They'll all tend to hang out with each other.
Yeah.
It's nice. I mean, that's one thing I would actually suggest. Filter out the people you are considering for marriage and filter it out some more so you can make it work if you ever do want to get married. But nonetheless, to the movie itself.
What I liked about this movie is I love a movie that can open the opening scene kind of tells you everything. And with this movie, the tennis match between the father and the older son, Jesse Eisenberg, and the mother and the younger son, and just the dynamic between the two. And then you have the Billy Baldwin as the tennis coach, kind of off in the sidelines, and it just gives you this like encompassing picture of like all of the dynamics that are in play here and kind of what's going on. And I thought that was brilliant.
It's brilliant and so beautifully shot.
Yeah.
That's the type of movie and storyline, other than divorce, that in a New York City based, if I were to write a script for a movie, I would want a movie to feel like this. I don't know, the Park Slope feel, the Brooklyn feel. It's really nice,
Hmm.
and the tennis scene. It just was so the music, the feeling of the movie itself, and kind of like the slow going nature to some extent of it. It's great. It's a great introduction, and that sets the tone immediately. And for the entirety of the movie, it kind of has that same tone. It doesn't really like kick itself.
And it's really telling when a movie can pull this off, where it's a good movie to watch about a tough topic, but all the characters are you kind of hate them, like they're kind of miserable,
Yeah,
um,
one
and
by one, right?
one by one, they're just all kind of like you just they're miserable people. Um, but you enjoy the dynamic between everybody and like the layering between them, which is really cool.
Yeah, the son's just copying the father. He's just trying to find his own way in the world, and the only way in the world he knows is through his
He
dad.
idolizes his
And
father.
his dad's a complete fraud. Not a complete,
Yeah.
but he's a half fraud, and so he is certainly he's got some self esteem and insecurity issues that he needs to deal with. But he's perpetuating that on pretty much everybody around him, including his wife, especially, who's become pretty successful in her own right, or much more successful than him. But yeah, even on the the younger son, where you're just like, I can let me root for him now because there's no one left. You're like, what, dudes? putting cum on like a locker. God damn it! Like, you all suck.
You all suck.
It's the result of divorce. I mean, everyone takes a, they were impacted pretty greatly because of it. But I would say that, Jesse Eisenberg's character, he was coming around to having a relationship and getting checked by like the metamorphosis, for example, of him, just spouting off some random bullshit. And you're talking about Kafka-esque. Like, yeah, because Franz Kafka wrote it.
This.
Wait, what are we talking about here? I love that scene of how awkward it is and the realization that she's like, wait, I thought he was an intellectual. Parents are, but I thought, what's going on? That weirdness. Because I've had those moments where you're talking to somebody, not to say his name, but this person back from college who just had some outlandish lies, and then when you would actually sit down with a conversation with him, just have a few questions, he just couldn't answer it, or it just turned into more lies. It's kind of like this situation, but he tended to give up pretty easily. But I have a question for you.
Sure.
Um, did you ever have sex education as a kid? And
Yeah, I sure did.
did you ever put a condom on a banana?
Oh no, no, never got that graphic. Um, uh, I'm trying to think. Like, it was more of just like what the reproductive organs are and things like that. But there was never any kind of like splicing up the toad kind of science class
Yeah.
in regards to the banana on with the condom. Never had that. I did, like I said earlier, I had the flower baby instance where kind of scares you of like what it would be like to have a baby carrying it around all day.
That's so funny. Does anyone like buy multiple of the flower babies and just like who's the compliance officer to ensure that you just didn't trade your flower or buy a new one?
Yeah, I mean, you would think
They mark
they would have some kind of stamp on there, proprietary stamp.
it.
Uh, but no,
Yeah,
I think you could just go to the local Kroger and buy another one if yours, got busted up.
I was in sixth grade. I mean, we had sex education. I think I had it in like fourth, fifth, sixth, or something. No, fifth and sixth grade, and maybe even seventh. And we had to put. I can't remember Mr. Miller. I think it was Mr. Miller in sixth grade math class, and he made us all the boys get all these probably small condoms out with these bananas. We'd had to like put them on, and I was like, this is the weirdest thing ever. Like, what do you like? We didn't even learn really like what goes next. Just like put a condom on a banana, and that's it. Like, well,
Do I eat
what
the
are
banana?
we,
What do I do?
what's next? What are we gonna do now? Okay, it's weird. It kind of smells like rubber. It's just strange. There's really no true explanation, or even like a diagram. You're saying like a reproductive system. Like there was no like true explanation. So I was just left confused. Like what?
Did they give you the like? Did they give you like the little like small kind of like apple bananas? Like the are they? Like what are we talking about here?
They were full bananas. Yeah.
Organic?
Yeah, they were probably not organic. If I had to guess, we're talking about Florida public school or Osceola Middle School, if memory serves. But nonetheless, I have another question for you. As a family, did you guys have nicknames for each other? Maybe you to your siblings, to your parents, their parents to you, like Pickle, for example.
No, I don't recall anything. I mean, my sister Laura, who spells it with Laura, insisted that it was not Laura, it's Lara. Um, but that's the shout out Laura. Um, that's the only thing that I can think of. I mean, my nickname in sports was Lightning, not White Lightning, Lightning, because I was speedy. Um, but yeah, no squirt, no champ, no chip off the old block, nothing like that. What about you?
No, nor have I had them with my wife or any person I've ever been with in a spousal capacity. And do you use baby or sweetie when you're dating somebody, or like something along those lines?
I might say, "Hey, babe."
You
I've definitely
might.
said that before. Yeah, I've definitely said that before.
I've heard you say that
Um,
about 4,000 times. Not to me, to be clear, but to others.
I can if you want me to.
I would love. Yeah,
All right,
how would
babe.
how, you need to elongate the babe, babe, babe. Yeah, I've heard you say it a few times. Um,
But yeah, no honey, no sweetie. I think peanut is kind of weird. Hey, peanut. I don't
Peanut's
know.
weird. I mean, especially if that person has an allergy.
Ooh, that could be a touchy, sensitive subject.
I and this is getting back to my original question that I said I was gonna to keep. Somebody that I think you haven't gone through the divorce, but you have gone through breakups in the past. But you are seemingly a person that could kind of pick up and move, and you have done it on multiples of occasion, even as of like this week. And I'm
Yeah.
curious as to how that either feels for you, but like how does a breakup feel for you? Is that something that you are in the final ropes of a relationship? I have friends who are like, whatever, like men that just can immediately cut between like a black and white situation, like just cut the block and be like, that was my former life, this is my future, so on and so forth. I'm not going to delete my pictures ever on Instagram because that's just a snippet, nobody's going to care, why would I even think about it? So I'm curious like how you feel in a breakup. Let's say it happens today. Are you like the person who just transitions immediately, or are you the person that has these lingering thoughts?
Oh yeah, the chapter's closed. If it's usually been like brewing for a while, where the relationship is going south, and when it finally does break free, separate, I feel a sense of freedom,
Yeah.
just as I do when I like move to a new city or something like that. I have like a sense of freedom of like, okay, I can start over and build something else. But after a while, it gets a little bit tiresome. Like I've moved a lot in the past 10 years, and I've gotten to the point in the past couple where I'm like, I kind of want to put some roots in the ground,
Yeah,
but I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do that.
it's
And
hard.
it's tricky.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
is
tough.
tricky. It takes a lot of work.
Communities, I mean, a bowling league I think would be up your alley.
Ooh, I think I'm going to take some improv classes. That's what I'm going to do.
You should take some improv classes. Definitely going to meet a lot of girls that have nose rings and dyed hair, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
hey, that's great with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't discriminate.
Face tattoos, which, yeah, I mean, if you're in LA, is that, ooh, nice little French press that you're not using for the Chemex? That's okay. I have,
I'm in an Airbnb. This is all they supplied me with. I didn't travel with my Chemex.
where's your stuff?
All my stuff is going to get moved into my apartment tomorrow.
Fair enough. To talk about the actual movie itself, I'm skirting pretty much all the issues, trying to subvert my feelings. But with that being said, I do have to point out uh, one of like I guess of the 100 or so movies that we've like reviewed, I think we should create a new category for the single moment because to me it was so hilarious, but without words, so telling. Um, when the family is all together, they're all getting back. The father's like, I think we can make this work. And, the kids were saying that all I needed to do was just make some dinners. And like they really liked my veal. Was it veal chops
Veal chops,
that
yeah.
you had on? And the mother's like, you've cooked like twice ever. And it's like, oh, this is the opportunity for me to get us back together. It's like, okay, I will cook. Like you're telling me there's a chance, and like everyone's just like pensive, waiting, and Laura Linney just starts crying, laughing, and then the immediate reaction is, "I'm gonna sue you." the, the transition from like the Hail Mary to the complete opposite of "fuck you, bitch" is incredible, and I don't know what there would be for a category to represent this. My favorite moment of the whole movie was that it was just it's too good. Uh,
That is great.
Continues laughing as he's talking about I'm gonna sue you, but just so hilarious to me of how he thought it would go. But that's his personality for the entirety of the movie of just like this arrogant, insecure, pompous prick, and like thinking he's much better than he actually is, but then ultimately laughing because he's just so off kilter in what he thinks that reality is. But I loved it. Loved that scene. And I love the intro.
Uh, I love the talent show and how nobody knows a Pink Floyd song when they hear it.
Yeah.
It's quite baffling to me, but it just kind of speaks to the erudite nature of the family and the community, where he can just play "Hey You," and nobody really bats an eye that he's just plagiarizing. But he felt like he could write it. He felt like he could have done that.
To be fair, though, I'm not a big fan of Pink Floyd. I don't think of them very kindly. And if you were to play one of their songs for me, I could probably be, wow, perplexed. This is excellent. I can't believe you wrote this. That could be me. I could see myself doing that.
But a whole audience full of people. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
tricky.
not in 2005 to adults, and or yeah, it's unlikely.
Yeah, but maybe in the '80s. Who knows?
So, what's your experience with Dinner with Friends?
Dinner with Friends. This was actually I believe, one of the films that we watched in film school. Um, Funny enough, because it was kind of on the topic of like how to take a stage play and make it into a movie. And that was like the topic of discussion. And I think somebody chose Dinner with Friends as like an opportunity to discuss that. And yeah, we'll just get into it. Dinner with Friends. It's it's actually a 2001 HBO movie. It didn't really hit theaters. I think you had to log into my HBO account just to watch it.
I have my
Um, what's that?
I have my own.
You have your own profile under my account,
We don't do
from what I
illegal
understand.
things here.
Okay, all right. No LimeWire anymore, huh? But yeah, a 2001 HBO movie is directed by Norman Jewison. He's done some pretty major works in Moonstruck, Fiddler on the Roof, and The Heat of the Night. Written by Donald Margulis. And I have to point out, because I was just blown away by this fact, but the movie was shot. The cinematographer, do you know who it was?
No,
Probably one of the best cinematographers of all time, Roger Deakins.
I don't know
Do you
Roger
know?
Deakins. No,
Okay, I'll go through the list of the movies that he's made:
got it.
Shawshank Redemption, Fargo, Big Lebowski, Beautiful Mind, No Country for Old Men, The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford,
Wow,
Sicario, Blade Runner 2049, 1917, plus many more.
I've seen every one of those films. That's crazy. I clearly do not know cinematographers well
Well,
at all.
I mean, if you type in, best cinematographers of all time, he's going to be in the like top cream of the crop, top of that
Yeah,
list.
that list is insane. That's
Um,
wild.
it's wild, and the fact that he did this little HBO TV movie, just, I mean, you can feel just how it's shot and how it's filmed, and the colors that are used,
Yeah,
the warmth that is expressed in it is just, it's beautiful. Anyways, Dinner with Friends. It's about two couples, Gabe and Karen. We got a Karen, the food loving hosts, and Tom and Beth. They're seemingly happy friends. They get together for a cozy meal, but only Beth arrives. Things go off the rails when Beth reveals that Tom's left her for another woman, throwing a grenade into their tight knit friend group. Suddenly, Gabe and Karen are forced to pick sides, reflect on their own relationship, and wonder if they're also just a casserole away from disaster. It's a funny but slightly uncomfortable look at marriage, middle age crisis, and the messiness of love, loyalty, and loneliness. So yeah, we got Tom and Karen, Gabe and Beth, um, or Gabe and Karen, uh, and it's an interesting look at the marriage story, because in our first film, The Squid and the Whale, it's the messiness with the kids involved, and this is absent of kids, really. I mean, the kids are in the background, but this is the messiness of the relationship between lifelong friends, and what happens when the other friend group decides to get a divorce, and they have to kind of look in on themselves during that time as well.
it's a funny thing because I don't know if this is just a divorce thing or a separation or the idea of people arguing, but I feel like there's similarities between the two movies in that the same feeling I got from The Squid and the Whale is like some of these conversations, and maybe they're just universal conversations that people have, but I was like, some of these conversations probably happen in some way, shape, or form. Maybe they didn't, but I was like, this is pretty good. It's like stage material. I would say it is stage material. And have they actually done a play, a Broadway play,
I believe so. Yeah,
or
that was what
otherwise?
first 1999 I think is when it hit, and then soon thereafter, 2001 is when they made this film. So it was a pretty big hit
Okay,
on
okay.
stage. Yeah.
I wasn't in New York in 1999, but I feel like the tenets of a lot of these conversations are at least the crux of some of the arguments that couples do have. You know, simply put, just talking the amount of talk on sex was so high that I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm like a prude to some extent. But I was like, okay, dude, you're just gonna talk about fucking all day? Like, my God, like, can we move on with life? Like, is that it?
But yeah, I think that's what drives him, right? That's why like Beth
Clearly?
doesn't touch him anymore. And that's like he even did this experiment where he's like, I'm not going to touch her and see how long it goes. And that was like the breaking point.
Have you
Um,
ever done experiments in a relationship like that?
I don't play games like that, man. I don't do that.
Like
I think
somebody,
that's
really?
no, no.
She didn't have sex with me, so I'm not gonna have sex with her for twice the time. Never.
Well, you did a really good impression of me right there. So maybe I have done it. I don't know.
What are your thoughts on their ideas of what good food is and their deconstruction? Because I have an idea here, but like I'm curious to see like the food selection, the food understanding, and the pedantic nature to some extent of the breakdown of what is needed to make it better. What was your thought process when you saw these food items?
It's interesting. I mean, the movie's Dinner with Friends, and that's like the central, I could think, point of the or the central like idea of the first scene, where they're coming back from Italy. They're food writers. They're foodies, in a big sense,
Yes.
and they want to kind of bring back their knowledge of what they got in the Italian countryside and the wines that they tried and the lemon custard pie that they made and things like that. And it's all very pretentious, um, to a sense of like they seem so, but it serves the plot of they seem so loving and tight and friendly, and that their marriage could never dissipate, and
Yeah.
because they have this connection between food, and that they share with Tom and Beth. I mean, they set them up. I love that we get to see the scene at Martha's Vineyard, from when they met, and kind of like they were two people that really never should have married. I feel like, I mean, I think that's very laid out very clearly, but they were at two points in their lives where that was expected of them, and that they had the chance to do that and build that, and they think they saw what Tom and Karen had, and they wanted that as well.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic.
I almost think that collectively, if they just switch spouses, then maybe they would all just work out better overall.
But they should just do, I mean, like have like that kind of like polyamorous
Oh,
kind of relationship. You know what I mean?
wasn't I don't I haven't thought about that, but that may have worked for them. It probably did would work for them. Yeah, of all that, like very tight knit couple, but maybe yeah, it may work. Honestly, I it's funny because I'm of the age. I'm 43 years old now, and I'm of the age where there's only so many things that you have time for, and also you're interested in things, and sometimes it leads you down to buying thousands of dollars worth of coffee contraptions to see what is the best way to make coffee, and sometimes it's also spending an entire year on how to make the best chicken wings possible, and so you ultimately get to food if you haven't already at the age of 43. And so I was listening to them talk and I was like, this is very interesting. Like they're taking this seriously. It's their business to begin with. They just got back from a trip. They're making it all. I was like, I didn't even actually think of it as pretentious at all, even remotely. I just thought this is really fucking cool. What I did find very egregious, and I have a question for you. Have you ever met a couple, and I'm probably talking again very personally, I know I can remember one single couple that I hang out with a lot, actually, that I would say over a 10-year period, it's just basically us, my wife and I, listening and just dealing with their issues, whether they're their own issues or single issues, and effectively not talking almost at all about ourselves. And there's no questions being posed the other way. It's just like we're just like this board of nonsense that needs to regurgitate, not regurgitate, evaluate, and then give you an answer. We're basically therapists, effectively, and that's how I felt with um, this situation. Basically, they're so excited, but like they never take a step back and be like, "How are you doing?" I mean, they eventually do, but like immediately they should have known to begin with. Have you ever met couples like this? It just like I don't want to say it's a worthless relationship, but you basically they're just constantly yabbering and they're just waiting for you to stop talking for them to talk again. They don't really
Uh-huh.
process anything that you say. It's
They're
terrible.
not listening. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had that? Ever had that?
I definitely been in situations where that's a key feature, and it's usually those relationships don't last for very long because it's kind of all take and no give.
Yeah.
Um, but you have those friendships, you have those relationships, and like it seems like in this movie they use their marriage, like their friend's marriage, as like a reflection of their marriage,
Oh, for sure.
and I'm wondering because I've never been married. I've been in relationships, but like I think that's a key component in like friendship and marriage is like people do judge their lives and their relationships on what they see in other people or what they see in social media, and they try and emulate that or try and one up that,
I think that's
in a sense.
I it's the same methodology I have for intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. I am so intrinsically motivated. I'm not extrinsically like for example, like people at the gym could get like a purple belt, brown belt, black belt. I just don't give a shit. I don't care what they get. I mean, good for them. Like,
You're happy for him, yeah,
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
but you're not judging your worth off of that.
No, I'm like, oh. I remember I used to have this friend. He basically his coworker got promoted and he didn't. He was like speaking poorly of the person that got promoted and like got a raise. And I've never been that type of person. So I think in the sense I've never ever compared my relationship or relationships at all or overall to other people, what they're doing, any social media, anything like that. I think that's just ripe for unhappiness. Honestly, like you're not going to be happy. So I've always been intrinsically gonna sound like frou frou, but loved, I guess. I guess I enjoy my own company. I basically am the decider of happiness and what happens in my life to become happy. And that's it relates directly to the spouse that I've chosen for myself. And the same, I can absolutely even say even more for her because she doesn't give a flying fuck about what anyone else is doing. Honestly, probably even including myself, never compares herself to others. But yeah, I think we're both intrinsically happy, inherently happy. We're not like, we just had our 10-year anniversary. We're not posting about each other on social media. Not to say there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
I'm sure down the road, if I win world champs, there's definitely going to be a post of thank you so much for your love and support. I'm sure there's going to be that, but we're just doing our thing. I don't think, and I don't personally compare myself to other people in their relationships ever, even
Yeah, and
remotely.
I think that's a key to a good healthy relationship. Like I've been in relationships where I've the other person wants me to post pictures of us together,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
it's an awkward conversation because it's like,
yeah.
no, I love you. I don't need the world to know that I love you and like do this whole thing.
Well, it's
It just
insecurity.
Yeah, but it just doesn't feel authentic to me. And I've like even like back in the early days when you have to like post a relationship status on Facebook to make it official. And now what they're talking about is doing a soft launch on Instagram of like showing somebody's hand in your in your pictures. It's like, ooh, who's that? What's going on there? Yeah, they call it a soft launch.
Wait, what?
Yeah, when you just begin a relationship and you start posting like little snippets of like people's body parts, the back of a head, the
No,
hand in the photo. It's a whole thing.
just kill me. God, just kill me. All right. I don't even know what to say about this, but It's interesting. I mean, we're in a different zone, different age. I don't want to judge. Although I am. I have an interesting question for you. What are your thoughts, and have you ever had breakup sex, Stephen?
Um, I've had intimacies with relationships that have fallen through and things like that, but not like not like that. Not like that. That's in this movie where
Oh,
they're
I'm
just
not
like,
saying you choked somebody out. I'm not saying do you like choking people. I'm not saying that. I mean, I'll be more direct. It's pretty much the worst thing you could do. I mean, I think I bought you the book How to Not Die Alone.
yeah.
Big fan of that. Did you ever read that?
I still have it. If that
That's
answers your
good that you
question.
still have it, but you haven't read it. But I love that book, and basically, she was saying that it's like it's pretty much the worst thing you could do. You're like broken up and just confusing yourself. Not a big fan. Looking back, I mean, first of all, this is fucking a college, so this is a long time ago. But it's clearly not a wise thing to do. It doesn't really help anything. But
But in the moment, it feels right.
I guess it does. But sometimes I think that reptilian brain should be smacked a little bit,
Yeah.
or it should be. But what are your thoughts on open marriages? Do you think that can work for
Yeah,
people?
I think it can. I think it can work if the ground rules are laid clear. It can get messy if there's any kind of like resentment that's going into it. But if the two partners or the four partners that are in this whole thing, if the ground rules are clear, I think it can work fine.
Susie
I mean,
in Fast Girl, Susie Favor Hamilton, 1500-meter runner for Team USA back in the day, 92, 96 Olympics maybe. And she was an escort. Remember, she got caught for
I didn't know that.
hooking.
Wow.
Yeah, this was a very big deal. She wrote a book about it called Fast Girl, and she had an open relationship and would travel to Vegas. Sort of, she was bipolar, but she would travel to Vegas to just live it up. Basically, had a threesome, which was, I believe, the first person she had sex with besides her husband. And then that just started there to actually her becoming an escort, which is like wild. And her discussion of that is, yeah, fascinating to say the least. And then her idea of competitiveness is being applied to being the best escort, the number one escort in Vegas, which
My
she
gosh.
ultimately, I think she got to like third. I don't know how they rate these things, first of all,
Yeah.
but like you do you, Susie. But it's a fascinating one for which I myself um I couldn't do it. Yeah, it just wouldn't work out for me. It's just too much. But also, I think my father impacted me to some extent, no, to a large extent. But anyway, I like the line, "I haven't gone crazy, I've gone sane."
Yeah.
So good, right?
It's so good and it's very telling. And the next line I think that follows up was like, the key to civilization is to fight the impulse to just chuck it all. Where would we be without everybody's ids just running rampant? And yeah, I mean,
So I
may,
I I definitely agree with the latter statement and not the
yeah,
former. I feel like anyone who goes, "I haven't gone crazy, I've gone sane," is the person who's actually gone crazy, doesn't know they're crazy yet. like like your actions are telling everyone else that you're going crazy. But I do believe that humans are inherently fairly stupid, and so to have a knee jerk reaction and to go on knee jerk reactions, or just reacting on emotions, your livelihood is not going to be great. Your friend group is probably not going to be great either. Sometimes you got to just take a step back and take a little breather. Um, I agree with that. That's pretty much like good relationships of any capacity, whether it's a spouse or a friend. Like you got to pause and not say everything that comes to your brain.
that's true. But I mean, yeah, that's true. I just held something back there.
Yeah. I I had an interesting thought of this. Basically, I you know there was something about an undermine. I'm actually my notes aren't very great here. It's like, do you think there was an undermine that people like just somebody being, oh yeah, when they're arguing and basically saying like, oh, that wasn't why, don't undermine me, and but it's just a challenge of like somebody challenging each other, like the friends. He's
Hmm.
like, I just want you to listen to me. Don't say anything, just listen. To me, in my experience, that's more like of a womanly thing to say. Like, I don't really comprehend or understand if you're going to talk to somebody, you're just going to listen. Maybe, but like to me, it's like I want some analysis from your perspective. At least eventually, maybe if it is too raw, it would be an undermine. If somebody's just yelling at you for cheating, but to me, I think that if you're going to somebody to have a conversation, you made a mistake, you should probably just be open to the fact that it's going to be a tough conversation. It's going to be raw, and you should embrace the fact that maybe somebody has a different perspective than you, and just fucking own it.
Yeah, but I think in that moment, Tom, I think he just wanted to have some verbal diarrhea and say what he wanted to say and not be judged by it and not hear anything else because really in that moment with everything that's happened, he doesn't want to hear anything. He wants
Too
it to
bad.
marinate. He wants it to sit on his friend's ears, and maybe down the line, in a couple of days or a week, like, hey, let's have a conversation about this. But right now, in the moment of what I feel and what you've experienced from my wife, who got to say her side of the story without me even being present, and kind of tainting the idea of what our relationship is and what it means. I just want you to hear me, man. And I don't want to have any kind of input of what you think right now because that is not important to me.
Yeah, I'm of the perspective that I can take information in and and process it quickly. I don't need that time. Like, and I also like if you're gonna say that, just say like, you know, so the person's gonna be judged regardless, whether it's a week from now or whether it's right then.
Right,
Like,
right.
like to me, if you made such a grave mistake, then you're gonna own up to your grave issues. But I was just thinking, I never think of this as undermining of any capacity, and maybe it's just a difference between me and a movie, more or less. But I remember when my wife and I got together, dating, and it was like instantaneous that I was like, yeah, we're gonna get married, and this is it. And I remember I bought a ring, and this was like quick, but and everyone, all her entire friends group was like, this is too quick. Evaluating me, interviewing me, like the whole process, telling me how we should and should not feel, and this is abnormal. And I didn't think that was undermining. I didn't yell at them. I didn't argue with them. I didn't say anything. I was like, okay, you have some good friends. I just want to make sure this is okay. And I waited 6 months to propose to her because of that reason. I didn't say fuck all y'all. I was like, "Oh, okay, like whatever. Like, we're gonna still be here. No big deal." So I didn't think it as undermining. You know what I mean? So like in this
Yeah.
situation, I think I myself, if I'm him, I immediately own up to it and be like, I fucked up. Here's my situation. You can listen to it. Say what you will. To be honest, I'll be able to process whatever you have to say because I know I fucked up. But it doesn't matter what you say because I have to accept this and I have to continue to move on. I think he's just a little bit of a pussy, to be honest.
Well, we don't know the dynamics between Gabe and Tom. They're the friends, you know, before the even the couples were married. Same as Karen and Beth, they were the friends. So like they take sides, right? You
Yeah,
have to take a side. But when you're in a marriage, you have to kind of make a group decision of what side to take, and it becomes very messy and complicated when that happens.
that's funny you say that because I feel like my relationship is not that way. We don't take sides on pretty much, and we just don't take sides. Like
You don't have groupthink; you
I
have
have,
individual think.
yeah, I have no idea who. I mean, we like a lot of the same things, but there's so many examples of like she hates running. Uh, I have no idea her like who she's gonna vote for example. I don't. I frankly don't even give a shit. Which sounds like I'm like we're both ignorant twats, but Like I don't care. I don't, it's something that I just don't care about. The major things I do, I guess, which I guess should be politics.
How to raise your child and what,
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
doing
But
in
even
that
then,
regard.
I think she's much less abrasive than I would be, and I would actually have delineated lines between a variety of different things. But I'm like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen here? And I'm sure she does all the same with me. Um, but nonetheless, it's a. I hope nobody gets. People get divorced all the time. The divorce numbers are very skewed, though. It's really only a third of people that actually get divorced. The people that actually get divorced tend to get divorced on repeat, which escalates those numbers to make it over 50%. But it's only a third of humans actually do get divorced, which is, I guess, fairly significant, but it's much less than you were expecting, or probably. But anyway, I don't wish divorce on anybody. And if you are to get divorced, I would say do it when your kids are like 18 or something. But when they're young, it's tough, man. They all people deal with it differently. But I will say this in terms of bursting and destroying worlds, isn't it fucking fun to destroy Lego worlds? You build it intricately, you build everything up, and then you fucking hammer it home. I when it,
Is that what you did as a kid?
Yeah, my god, it was amazing. Are you kidding me? I still do that. My daughter and I
You
will be
didn't have
building
the
these
Lego
things,
and
I'm gonna
just put it on a
smash it.
mantle and just be like, all right, I built that starship and it's going to stay up there. I'm going to glue it together so it never falls apart.
No, no, I've never glued, no, ever, ever. If it, no, I used to make models and want to destroy the models. I would want to destroy everything. Maybe this says a lot about my personality, but nonetheless. Divorce. Hopefully, we never have to do this again. Maybe we'll do a divorce episode when you and I divorce.
I even hated dominoes because I mean the whole point of dominoes is setting something up intricate just to see it go down. And it just gave me anxiety. I didn't like it.
I guess that tells a lot about you too.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like even things like when things happen in a movie where like everything's breaking, the whole apartment gets smashed, and it just kind of I was like I don't like that. I don't like
Yeah,
that
that doesn't really bother me. Why would that bother you? It's just a movie. Um,
because it feels like it's a lot of cleanup, and I had to clean my room a lot, you know,
why did you have to clean your room a lot? It sounds like you
because
were
I would get
destroying
it messy.
it. Yeah. Anyway,
But now
the
my
amount of
yeah.
sex talked about is astronomically high. I've never had conversations so much so as they did in this movie about sex. I don't never talk about it with any of my friends.
I mean, I think it's interesting because marriage, you know, the start of a relationship, there's that spark, and you know, there's a lot of intimacy, a lot of sex during that initial phase, the first year, 2, 3 years, whatever it is. I don't know, but does that diminish as time goes on? I mean, I'm
So
sure it does.
we're identical. There's no change. I guess somebody says I don't talk about this, but there's no change for us. I would say kids, yeah, things change, but nothing has changed overall. But yeah, I would imagine, I have heard a few friends say comments here and there about it changing for them, but it's never like, I don't know. He sounds like he's a sexaholic. Honestly,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude. Like, if you're telling your guy friends about this, I can't imagine what's happening in his head. Like, how much
Mm.
just like pussy, 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 pussy. Like, where can I get some pussy? Like, Jesus Christ. But anyway,
Do you think they stay in touch and be, you know, friends after their departure? I think Karen and Beth, they stay in touch. I think Gabe and Tom, they lose a big connection there. They distance themselves.
I don't know. I mean, it can go any which way. I mean, I think I don't know. I don't have a properly good answer, nor do I even have a nuanced one. But maybe because I'm shutting myself down. I don't have much time left, to be honest.
Well, let's get into ratings then.
Yeah. So Squid and the Whale first. So I like our new rating system. I don't actually have to go and quantify each performance and things of that nature, and it's more of just like a gut,
Yeah.
which I didn't really. I'm not. I'm thinking much less through these now. So I gave Squid and the Whale 4 glasses, and I gave Dinner with Friends 3.5.
Well, look at that. We're not always in agreement, but when we are, it's about divorce. And I have the exact same thing. 4 glasses for Squid and the Whale, 3.5 for Dinner with Friends.
Yeah, just feels right. I was trying to think in my head what would be. Is this a 4.5 star for Squid and the Whale? I was like, nope, doesn't. It's a 4-star movie. And then I was like, is Dinner with Friends like 3.5?
Slightly less
But
so, but still, yeah.
yeah, it's much easier to do it, and I think it actually makes more sense. I actually like this setup exponentially greater. So, but yeah,
Me too.
what do we have next week? By the way,
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I'd have to look that up.
I do.
But it's coming.
So it's coming. So next week we have, I believe,
Oh.
we're going to continue with this. Is the single shot films with Boiling Point taking on Russian Ark.
Yeah, so for our listeners, if you want to get ahead and watch the movies before we talk about them, check out Boiling Point and The Russian Ark. 2 films that are all completely like there's no gimmicks here like Birdman or anything like that. This is all one single take, one shot.
One take, one shot. Got your mom's spaghetti.
Can't wait to talk about the editing in these.
Yeah. But anyway, until next week.